Imagine for a moment that every door you ever wanted to open in life, whether in business and relationships or in opportunities, could be unlocked by just one skill. Not money, not power, but the ability to connect with people. That's the central message of Dale Carnegie's timeless classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book has changed millions of lives since its first publication in 1936. It has been used by leaders, entrepreneurs, politicians, and everyday people who simply wanted to get along better with others. Today, we'll break down every principle in the book, section by section, expanding on the stories, the lessons, and the practical steps you can apply right now. And by the end of this video, you'll have a powerful toolkit for making people like you, persuading them without conflict, and leading without offending. So let's dive in. Part 1. Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. Principle 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Carnegie starts with something so simple, yet so often ignored. Criticism doesn't work. When we criticize someone, even if we're right, the other person usually doesn't change. Instead, they defend themselves, justify their behavior, and often resent us. Think of a boss who shouts at an employee for making a mistake. Does that employee truly feel motivated to improve? Or do they walk away embarrassed, angry, or plotting how to avoid that boss? Carnegie quotes Abraham Lincoln, who once learned the hard way not to criticize harshly. During the Civil War, Lincoln wrote a letter condemning one of his generals for a mistake. But instead of sending it, he put it aside. Later, when the general explained the impossible situation he was in, Lincoln realized his criticism would have been unfair. The lesson? Everyone is human. Everyone makes mistakes. Criticism rarely improves people. It usually hardens them. Instead of criticizing, try to understand. Ask yourself, why did this person act that way? What pressures or needs were driving them? This shift alone can transform how people respond to you. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. If criticism tears people down, then appreciation builds them up. Carnegie says one of the deepest human needs is to feel important. When you give genuine, specific appreciation, you fulfill that need. But notice the words, honest and sincere. Flattery doesn't work. People can smell fake praise from a mile away. Imagine telling a colleague, great job on the presentation. That's nice, but it's generic. Now, compare it to, I loved how clearly you explained that complex idea in your presentation. You made it easy for everyone to understand. Which one feels more authentic? Carnegie shares the story of Charles Schwab, one of the greatest steel executives of his time. Schwab said his ability to give sincere appreciation was one of the key reasons for his success. He didn't criticize his workers, he encouraged them. When he saw something done well, he pointed it out immediately. And that small act of appreciation inspired loyalty and greater effort. So, as you go about your day, look for opportunities to appreciate, not just achievements, but effort, kindness, or creativity. It costs you nothing, but it creates bonds that last. Principle 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Here's the truth. People are not motivated by your desires. They're motivated by their own. Carnegie illustrates this with a simple analogy. When you go fishing, you don't bait the hook with what you like. You don't put a slice of chocolate cake on the hook. You use worms because that's what the fish wants. The same principle applies to people. If you want to persuade, don't talk about what you want. Talk about what they want. If you're trying to sell a car, don't focus on how much commission you'll earn. Focus on how safe the car will keep the buyer's family, or how fuel efficient it is, or how stylish it will look. If you want your child to study more, don't lecture about grades. Show them how knowledge connects to their dreams. Maybe how math skills could help them design video games or build their dream home. When you align your goals with what the other person already wants, persuasion becomes effortless. So those are the 3 fundamental techniques. 1. Don't criticize. 2. Give sincere appreciation. 3. Arouse an eager want. Master just these, and you'll already notice doors opening. But Carnegie doesn't stop there. He shows us how to make people genuinely like us. Part 2. 6 ways to make people like you. Principle 1. Become genuinely interested in other people. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you. Not with their phone in their hand, not waiting to talk, but genuinely curious. How did that make you feel? Carnegie says if you want people to like you, take a real interest in them. Not a fake, manipulative interest. A genuine one. When you ask about someone's hobbies, their dreams, or their challenges, you show them that they matter. Carnegie tells of a dog he once had. Every time he came home, the dog was thrilled to see him. No agenda, no hidden motive, just pure enthusiasm. And because of that, Carnegie realized something profound. You can win more friends in 2 months by being interested in others than in 2 years trying to get them interested in you. So, the next time you meet someone new, shift the spotlight. Let your curiosity guide you. Principle 2, smile. It sounds almost too simple, but a smile is powerful. Carnegie points out that actions speak louder than words. And a smile says, I like you. I'm glad to see you. Imagine walking into a store and the cashier greets you with a frown. Now imagine the same situation with a warm smile. Which one makes you feel welcome? Your smile is a social currency. It costs nothing, but its impact is huge. So the next time you meet someone, remember, your face is a billboard. Let it advertise kindness. Principle 3. Remember that a person's name is, to them, the sweetest sound in any language. Our names are tied to our identity. When someone remembers your name, it feels like they see you. Carnegie says this is one of the simplest yet most overlooked ways to make a person feel valued. Think of a waiter who remembers your name after just one visit, or a teacher who greets every student by name. That small effort creates loyalty and warmth. To do this, don't just repeat a name mechanically. Associate it with something. Write it down. Use it naturally in conversation. Because when you say someone's name, you're really saying, I see you. I remember you. You matter. Principle 4. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Most people don't want a debate partner. They want a listener. Most people don't want a debate partner. They want a listener. Carnegie says being a good conversationalist isn't about talking. It's about listening. Ask questions. Let the other person share their story. Encourage them with nods, short affirmations, and curiosity. If someone tells you about a trip they took, don't immediately jump in with your own story. Instead, ask, what did you enjoy most about it? Or what made that trip special? When you let people talk, they walk away thinking you're fascinating. Not because you spoke, but because you made them feel heard. Principle 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Carnegie says the royal road to a person's heart is to talk about what interests them most. If someone loves sports, bring up the latest game. If they love technology, ask about the newest gadgets. This doesn't mean you need to fake knowledge. It means you show respect for what excites them. When you talk about what they care about, you connect instantly. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. This principle ties all the others together. Carnegie says, the deepest craving of human nature is the need to feel important. When you make someone feel important, not by flattery, but by sincerely recognizing their value, you create trust and loyalty. Think of how a great teacher makes every student feel seen, or how a great leader makes every team member feel their role matters. That's the essence of influence. So far, we've learned how to avoid criticism, how to show appreciation, and how to build genuine connections. But what about when you disagree? How do you win people to your way of thinking without conflict? That's what Part 3 is all about. Green Circle Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. This section is about persuasion. How do you bring others to see your perspective without creating resistance, arguments, or bitterness? Carnegie gives us 12 principles. Let's go through each one carefully. Principle 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Here's a paradox. The moment you win an argument, you often lose a friend. When you defeat someone logically, they may feel humiliated, cornered, or resentful. Even if they admit you're right, deep inside, they may wish you weren't. Carnegie tells us that arguments rarely change minds. They just harden positions. Think about heated political debates on social media. How often does one side truly convert the other? Almost never. Instead, people dig deeper into their own beliefs. So what's the alternative? Instead of arguing, seek common ground. Listen, ask questions, look for shared values. Because the moment you stop trying to win the debate, you open the door to real influence. Principle 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, "You're wrong." No one likes to be told they're wrong, even when they are. The phrase, "You're wrong," immediately triggers defensiveness. The walls go up. Carnegie suggests replacing it with something softer. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," try, "I might be mistaken, but let's look at the facts together." In a business meeting, if someone suggests a flawed strategy, don't shoot it down. Instead, say, "That's an interesting angle. Let's explore it and see how it compares with some other options." This way, you respect their dignity while gently guiding them toward the truth. Principle 3. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Here's a surprising twist. Admitting your mistakes doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger. When you acknowledge fault quickly and openly, you disarm critics. They have nothing left to attack. Carnegie shares the story of himself walking his dog without a leash. A policeman confronted him. Instead of arguing, Carnegie immediately admitted, "You're absolutely right, officer. I was careless." The officer softened instantly and let him off with just a warning. Owning mistakes builds credibility. People trust those who are honest about their flaws. So next time you're wrong, don't cover it up. Admit it and watch respect grow. Principle 4. Begin in a friendly way. Carnegie says honey attracts more flies than vinegar. In other words, friendliness is more persuasive than hostility. When you begin a conversation warmly, with a smile, a kind word, or a positive tone, you set the stage for cooperation. Imagine calling customer service with anger in your voice. Compare that with calling politely, saying, "I know this isn't your fault, but I really need help." Which approach is more likely to get results? The friendlier your opening, the smoother the path to agreement. Principle 5. Get the other person saying yes, yes immediately. Carnegie calls this the Socratic method. The idea is simple. People are more likely to agree with you if they start by saying yes to small points. If you want a coworker to support a project, don't begin with the controversial part. Start with what you both agree on. We both want this project to succeed, right? And we both want to save time and reduce errors. Once they say yes to those, they're more open to saying yes again later. It's about momentum. Agreement builds on agreement. Principle 6. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. When people feel they've been heard, they're more likely to accept your perspective. Carnegie recalls a sales manager who discovered that the best way to close deals wasn't to talk endlessly about the product, but to let the customer talk about their needs. The manager asked questions, listened, and then simply connected the product to what the customer already said they wanted. The more someone talks, the more invested they become in the outcome. So ask questions. Then step back. Let them talk themselves into agreement. Principle 7. Let the other person feel the idea is theirs. Carnegie says people trust ideas more when they believe those ideas are their own. If you want someone to embrace a plan, plant the seed and let them take ownership. Instead of telling your team, "We should cut costs by doing X," ask, "What are some ways we could reduce expenses without hurting quality?" When they suggest X themselves, they'll be far more committed to carrying it out. Guiding someone to discover the idea is often more powerful than delivering it outright. Principle 8. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. This principle is about empathy. Carnegie says even when someone is wrong, try to understand how the situation looks through their eyes. If a customer complains about a product, don't dismiss them. Imagine how you'd feel if you spent your hard-earned money and were disappointed. A little empathy changes the entire conversation. When you see the world through their perspective, you'll know exactly how to frame your response. Principle 9. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Everyone wants understanding. When you show sympathy, you remove resistance. If an employee asks for a raise and you can't grant it, don't just say no. Say, "I understand why you'd want that. You've worked hard, and you deserve to feel recognized." Then explain the situation. Even if they don't get what they want, they'll feel respected. Acknowledgement is sometimes more important than agreement. Principle 10. Appeal to the nobler motives. Carnegie says people want to see themselves as good, honest, and noble. When persuading, appeal to those higher values. If you're selling eco-friendly products, don't just talk about cost savings. Appeal to the buyer's sense of responsibility for the environment. When you frame your request as an opportunity for someone to live up to their best self, you inspire action. Principle 11. Dramatize your ideas. Facts tell, but stories sell. Carnegie says ideas become persuasive when they're vivid and dramatic. A fire safety campaign could simply say, "Be careful with matches." But showing a burned-down house in a TV ad is far more powerful. Whenever possible, paint a picture, tell a story, make the idea come alive. Principle 12. Throw down a challenge. Human beings love challenges. We thrive on competition and goals. Carnegie tells of Charles Schwab, who motivated his workers by writing the day's output number on the floor in chalk. The night shift saw it and tried to beat it. The next day, the first shift tried to top that. Productivity soared. When you turn tasks into challenges, people rise to the occasion. So that's part 3, persuasion without conflict. But what if you're a leader and you need to change people's behavior without creating resentment? That's where part 4 comes in. Green Circle Part 4. Be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. Here are 9 principles to guide leadership and influence. Principle 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. When giving feedback, always start with something positive. Carnegie compares it to a dentist who gives you Novocaine before pulling a tooth. The compliment cushions the correction. Instead of saying, "You're late again," try, "You've been doing great work recently, and I really appreciate your effort. I did notice you've been running late. Let's work on that so your strengths can shine even more." Start with appreciation, and people will be open to correction. Principle 2. Call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Sometimes the direct approach backfires. Instead of bluntly saying, "You did this wrong," try a softer method. Ask questions. Use suggestions. Instead of, "Your report has errors," you could say, "This section is really strong. Do you think we could double-check the numbers here just to be safe?" The person corrects themselves without feeling attacked. Principle 3. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Carnegie says humility builds connection. If you need to correct someone, first share a time when you made a similar mistake. "You know, when I first started, I messed up this exact same task. Here's what I learned. Maybe it could help you too." This approach makes feedback feel like guidance, not judgment. Principle 4. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders. People respond better when they feel they have a choice. Instead of commanding, "Do this," ask, "What do you think is the best way to handle this?" Or, "Could you take care of this for us?" Questions empower. Orders alienate. Principle 5. Let the other person save face. Even when someone makes a mistake, protect their dignity. Humiliation destroys relationships, but allowing someone to save face preserves respect. If an employee makes an error in front of others, don't scold them publicly. Speak privately. Frame it as a small oversight anyone could make. Respect is remembered long after mistakes are forgotten. Principle 6. Praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Carnegie says people blossom under encouragement. Instead of waiting for perfection, recognize progress. If a shy child speaks up in class once, celebrate that effort. Encouragement builds momentum. What gets praised gets repeated. Principle 7. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Carnegie says people rise to expectations. If you label someone irresponsible, they'll often live down to it. But if you say, "You're one of our most reliable team members," they'll work hard to uphold that reputation. Give people a high standard, and they'll strive to meet it. Principle 8. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. When someone struggles, show them the problem isn't impossible. Say, "This is tricky, but I know you can handle it." With a little practice, it'll feel natural. Confidence is contagious. Your belief in them can become their belief in themselves. Principle 9. Make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Finally, Carnegie says, frame requests in a way that excites people. Show how the task benefits them. Make it a win-win. Instead of saying, "I need you to work late," say, "If you can help finish this project tonight, you'll be the hero who saves the deadline. And I'll make sure leadership knows who made it possible." When people feel good about the task, they do it willingly. So let's recap. Carnegie's wisdom boils down to this. Don't criticize. Appreciate. Show genuine interest in people. Listen more than you talk. Respect opinions. Admit mistakes and begin with friendliness. Lead with empathy, encouragement, and dignity. These principles may seem simple, but when practiced daily, they transform relationships. They help you win friends, influence people, and build a life filled with cooperation, trust, and respect. So the question is, which principle will you start practicing today? Because the sooner you do, the sooner you'll see just how powerful these timeless lessons can be. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could benefit from Carnegie's wisdom. And remember, true influence isn't about control. It's about connection. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building the kind of relationships that open doors to a richer, more fulfilling life.